What's up, Exiles? Milkman Al here. It's about that time. It's League launch time. So let's talk about some League starter options. So last time I got some surprisingly useful and cordial feedback about making just a couple builds that were a little bit more fleshed out instead of some just kind of brainstorm things for people to use. So let's do that. So I've got a couple bangers for you today. These are actually kind of variations on tried and true builds, but they're still great, even though they're not really meta anymore. Um, they're sort of less popular options, but they will still kick ass and take names for you, no problems asked. So, no problems asked, what the hell? That's how this video is going to go. Anyway, so what we're looking at today is a Bladefall Blade Blast Totem build, and also a Maw of Mischief Ignite Elementalist. So both of these are going to be pretty damn strong and very scalable into endgame if you end up on a higher budget. But as those of you who have watched me live, watched my other videos know, I'm a really casual gamer. I generally don't have a whole bunch of currency to use. So all of these builds will be very doable on a low budget. I think the last league I had a character that I spent 20 divines-ish on, and that's by far my most expensive character ever. That was a Dark Pact Occultist, by the way, which is still awesome, and there's a great video up for it on my channel, so you should watch that. That'll also be a great league starter. This is a Bladefall and Blade Blast, Hierophant, sorry. So the Blade Blast is self-cast. The Bladefall is the Totems. So what you do is you basically cast your Totems, and they spam Blade Blast everywhere, leaving blades for you to explode. You manually cast your Blade Blast, and it's converted to lightning. So it's a lightning build, primarily. So as you can see here, I've spec'd into mana a fair bit. So we've got mana all over the place, and things that recharge your mana as well. As much as possible. So you get good mana regen, get 770 or 800, mana regeneration, and 900 life regen. So what we need to do is actually change this jewel, which I just noticed. So we're going to have both life leech and energy shield leech. So we have a ton of extra energy shield due to this ascendancy node right here, Sanctuary of Thought. Basically, that'll just help with our survival, and we've got energy leech. So you're leeching energy shield, you're leeching health, you're regenerating mana like crazy. So this should be a very durable build. Even though you don't actually have any damage mitigation, you should be able to take a hit and recover really well. If you want, you can add determination to this build, because you have 95% increased armor, as you see here. But that will destroy the damage you gain from Arcane Cloak, which, if you look over there, is a shitload of your damage. It's like a third of your damage. So, I don't know that I would recommend that, but you can do it if you find that you're dying a lot for whatever reason. Items-wise, we just kind of have a, pretty unremarkable staff with some plus to gems. You'll need a staff because there will be 2 6-link setups in this between the totems and the Blade Blast. Soul Mantle, you don't have to get a 6-link of this, or of the battery staff, well, it doesn't have to be battery staff, the staff. But it helps. If you can't afford those or can't find them, no big deal. Algor Mortis is a huge deal because there's not a whole lot of sources of increased damage taken in this build, so this is basically like 30% more damage. And to get the chilling areas, you use Frost Blink as a movement skill, and I think I have increased area of effect linked to it to help that out. I just have a series foible on here. I think this is a pretty good amulet for this build. You could probably do better with a sort of high power rare, but this is, again, for league start, this is going to be a cheap option that gets the job done and really helps your mana regen out. This is a mind over matter build, so you're going to be taking damage from your mana as well, so you really kind of have to watch out for that. I've chosen to do 2 Kikazarus, because these are actually pretty good rings for this build. They check a lot of boxes between the life and mana regen and the curse effect reduction. So if you're unfamiliar with Soul Mantle, when your totems die, which includes when you recast them, you get cursed. So what you want to do is reduce the effect of those curses, right? So you're not constantly just getting blown off the map. To do that, you need Reduced Cursed Effect. And you can get that through Kikazaru. Each one gives you 60%. Some people might choose to go with the tree, but it's an extra 3 points plus your anoint in this build that I have. And I figured a ring slot was a better choice, especially since this gives you a pretty huge amount of life regen too. So you can choose to go with the tree, but you'll have to sacrifice elsewhere to make that work. Also, to take advantage of the Soul Mantle, we have Self-Flagellation, so you just curse the shit out of yourself and gain more damage as you go. So, yeah, pretty straightforward. One thing that I needed to add to this tree that it just occurred to me is not there. I was doing some work on this build earlier, and this didn't save for some reason. So this Storm Rider, so we have nearby enemies are chilled. Note that that does not count as chilling area for the purposes of Algor Mortis. But when you shock things, which you will be doing frequently with Blade Blast, Storm Rider will be your power charge generation. And then we have endurance charge generation here. So one thing that I wanted to point out is this listed damage here of the 1.7 million, that's way low, okay? Because realistically, you're going to have 5 totems out, all casting Bladefall, and you'll probably at least have like 30, I would say. So your damage goes up really fast. And again, this is on pretty budget gear. So this build can scale quickly. Very, very quickly. So we'll run through the construction here. So we've got Bladefall with faster casting, because you just want to cast on blades as fast as possible. Multiple totems, so you get more extra totems. And, you cast 2 at the same time. Spell Cascade, so this serves a dual function. So it makes more blades come down, and also decreases the area of effect that the Bladefall happens over, which is good because you want the blades clustered as much as possible, so when you cast Blade Blast, all of the blasts overlap. So that's really important. The less area of effect is actually a really good thing. So concentrated effect, same thing. You want the blades as close together, so you get as much shotgunning as you can, and Culling Strike is just kind of a convenient thing to have on here because it's casting all the time, and it'll clear out enemies or bosses more importantly for you. So conductivity, because like I said, we convert everything to lightning. Arcane Cloak, again, huge portion of our damage. Vitality and Clarity are just too good to pass up in this build for the extra regen. And Blade Blast. Later in the game, Vitality and Clarity offer some really awesome mods on Watcher's eyes that help this build out a whole lot, but those get very expensive. So look into that, but, again, it's a league start, so don't break yourself. Don't worry about it if you can't handle it. So this build will be really great, super easy to play, and again, can scale into endgame no problem. So let's move on to the build that I'm actually going to play. So this is the Maw of Mischief Ignite Elementalist. Look at that sexy damage. Watch it get even sexier. Whoa, that's a lot of Ignite damage. If you've ever played a DPS build, you know that, this is constant DPS, right? So, unlike, most other builds, you're not going to be able to be dealing that damage consistently. This, you just hit and you walk away, and you're dealing 13 million damage per second. It is a little bit hard to get up to that because you have to summon a bunch of skeletons, which you have the ability to do, but they're very fragile and they die easily. So this is going to be kind of a tough enemy and boss thing, which is where you need the DPS anyway, so not a huge problem. So this is kind of an in-game kitted out version. Certainly some tweaks to be done, because these are all pretty basic versions of, rares that you would want. But you'll notice here that none of these uniques are terribly expensive. This is I think 30 to 50 chaos. You can certainly do better weapon-wise with a scepter that has a whole bunch of fire damage, and some damage multiplier, damage over time multiplier on it. But this is super cheap and easy to do. Maw of Mischief is a staple. This is like a 5C unique. This is what makes the build. It's build enabling. Skin of the Lords. You want Eldritch Battery on this because it'll be a mind over matter Eldritch Battery build. Barracks or Spite is freaking awesome for spreading all your ignites. and Polaric Devastation is a huge damage boost via Covered in Ash. So this is probably the most expensive item in here. I think that was about a Divine last league. Certainly not necessary, but very helpful. So those are the items. We'll take a trip here in just a second and show you what this looks like with just a Maw of Mischief. But the short version of the story is you still do like 600,000 DPS without all of the fancy stuff. This is a great build. So the way Maw of Mischief works is it gives you the Death Wish skill, which gives you an explosion that deals flat fire damage and a percentage of the minion's maximum life that explodes. It makes your minions blow up. So when you do that, that's basically your base damage for an Ignite. So what you want to do is you want to scale minion life as much as possible, because then that'll get all multiplied by your fire damage and also your damage damage over time multiplier and all that stuff. So minion life is basically your primary goal for everything on the tree. That said, Maw of Mischief has, I think, a level 73 requirement. Yeah, so you're not going to be able to use it for a while. So until then, you're going to level as Wave of Conviction Ignite. So your tree is basically going to look like this, but you're not going to have the same, like, nodes up here, all the minion health stuff. You'll start speccing into that probably in your 60s, because there's, let's see, really just that one wheel, 2 wheels, and your cluster jewel here that you really want. And these are probably going to be middling expensive. I think these are 50-ish chaos, the Hulking Corpses and Blessed Rebirth. So, you probably won't be able to afford those right at 73, so don't worry too much about that. Same with a Primordial Bond. Large cluster jewel with 8 slots. This will probably be a little pricey as well. So really what you want is you want a medium cluster jewel with Blessed Rebirth, because that'll make sure your skeletons don't die. In terms of ascendancies, unlike the totem build we just talked about, this makes a big difference. Like in the totem build, you can pretty much just get ascendancies in whatever order is most convenient to you. I'd probably do the totems first, but here you have to take Shaper of Flames first. That's just way more convenient. Then you'll take Liege of the Primordial, so your golems get resummoned constantly. And that'll be nice, just quality of life thing throughout the campaign as well. And it's obviously essential when you're blowing up your golems to damage stuff. So yeah, once you're in your mid-60s, you start really hardcore speccing into these minion life nodes. And then you can get away from Wave of Conviction once you have your Maw. Which again is generally like a 5 chaos unique. So, that's the gist of it. So let's do some presto changeo magic stuff here. And I'll show you what this looks like when you have no cluster jewels and you're level 80-ish. So we're just going to take all these items off. So you saw previously it was like 10 million DPS, including both hits and Ignite damage. And Ignite itself was, 6 million or something, which is really what matters. So to check this, you need to go into Calculations, check your damage, that is. This is your Stone Golem's life. And then you need to plug that into here. I already forgot the number. 65572. 65572. Boom. So we're talking 1.7, 1.8 million DPS at max stacks. At base stacks, 800,000. That's still a pretty huge amount of damage for the beginning of the game. Oh, sorry, I'll uncheck that. There you go, 700,000, because you probably won't have them covered in ash. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good for a bare bones 0 item league starter. Don't even have a weapon equipped. So I am very much looking forward to this this build, and I think it's going to be really, really good. So that's actually all I got. So expect more detailed, like half-hour long videos on both of these characters as the league progresses, because I plan on playing both of them very extensively. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was more kind of the thing you're looking for. Links to the Path of Buildings will be in the description. I'll also include a link to the Dark Pact Occultist that I mentioned that I played last league, which was amazing. So, again, hope you enjoyed this. I am Milkman Al. Please come join me live on Twitch at twitch.tv/MilkmanAl1 on Wednesdays and Sundays, 8 p.m. Central to about 10 p.m. usually. Also, I'm in Discord. Links to all of that stuff will be in the description. Happy hunting, Exiles!